Richard, thank you. First, for the privilege of carrying the ceremonial mace, because I know that that is filled with symbolism for all that Montfort is, and also for the opportunity to say a few words to the last class that I had the opportunity to serve here at Montfort. But if you'll just permit me one indulgence. David, go Irish. President and Mrs. Greco, Sister Hope, board members and teachers, families and friends, and especially the class of 2022. 3 years ago, almost to the day, on a class retreat at Ender's Island, I told a story to the seniors of that year's graduating class of 2019. It was about a time 36 years before that, when I was a 22-year-old new officer in the Air Force. I was in the midst of some very intense training to operate an expensive and lethal weapon system that launched missiles. Our instructors ingrained in us two vital first principles to everything we did. First, always be aware of the current status of the various computer and information systems in front of us. And second, select the proper response checklist and follow the steps on that checklist. Pretty simple: status awareness and checklist discipline. They taught us that on the very first day of training, T1, and they repeated it multiple times every day until the last day of training, T120. Two very simple principles, not hard to remember, and easy to live by when everything is calm, and even when unusual events occur, so long as they occur one at a time. But in combat, as in life, everything is not always calm, and events rarely occur one at a time. So it was that in a training simulation, I was presented with a system power outage, a weapon system malfunction, a security breach, and multiple emergency action messages all at the same time. So what did I do? In the confusion, I abandoned first principles. I failed to take the necessary moment to observe and understand all the information before me, and I began reacting haphazardly and taking actions without even a glance at my checklists. The result? A broken weapon system, a significant security violation, and potential personnel injury or even death, all simulated. Also, our training squadron commander got to know me by name, which in this case wasn't a good thing. And I had a weekend of unscheduled training, additional training, along with several of my colleagues who fell into the same well-laid trap. What is done cannot be undone, said Anne Frank, who continued, but one can prevent it from happening again. And so I did, and in time, learned to apply those two first principles consistently and become a master of my craft. Now, the seniors 3 years ago seemed to enjoy that story because it's fun to hear that our teachers made youthful mistakes, and I, for one, made plenty. But the story's usefulness would end there if I couldn't relate it to something helpful for them, and now for you. Perhaps two first principles of your own that may serve and guide you as you inevitably face the chaos and confusion this world has chosen for you. So if I'm going to successfully suggest to you first principles, it's only responsible of me to go to a trusted source, Holy Scripture. Now, my well-worn paperback copy of the St. Ignatius RSV Bible is nearly 1,300 pages with very many tiny words and scores of stories and principles to assist us in our lives. How do I select just two? Well, our blessed Savior does that for us, doesn't he? When asked by the Pharisee in St. Matthew's Gospel, which is the greatest commandment in the law, Jesus says in reply, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself." That's 1,300 pages of tiny type reduced to two simple principles: love God and love your neighbor. Easy to remember, like the two beams of a cross, the symbol of love and salvation. Love God and love your neighbor. Graduates, those two simple principles given to us by Jesus himself have been taught consistently for over 2,000 years. Other religions, even those who do not acknowledge Jesus, have either adopted them or discovered them themselves and taught them as their own first principles. Indeed, most of mankind has affirmed their truth and attempted to live by them in one way or another throughout human history. In fact, they're easy to live by when things are simple and life is routine, and even when challenges occur, one at a time. But I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that the world we live in today has never been more complicated, confusing, disruptive, or disorienting. In the coming years, you will be barraged by every manner of conflict and coercion, and it will be more difficult than it's ever been to see through the noise and hatred and resist the temptation to react, usually negatively, with harsh words or a text or a post or an action that almost always originates in fear and anxiety, transforms into anger, and results in damage and hurt to yourself and to others. But it is not any more hopeless for you to learn to consistently apply first principles than it was for me all those years ago. There is a prescription, and it is love. For St. John tells us, there is no fear in love. Perfect love drives out fear. Here is the prescription to apply that love and live in Christ's peace. The first prescription is principle 1, to love God. How? First, talk to him every day. You've learned to pray at Montfort in the morning, before classes, at noon, at the end of the school day, and hopefully at night. Continue to pray and talk to God constantly. I promise you, he's listening. Second, avail yourself of the sacraments, communion and confession. And if you're not Catholic, then make your own spiritual communion with God and reflect on your shortcomings. He'll forgive you and give you peace every time. And third, see God in the creation around you, in a sunrise or a rainfall, in the periodic table or the Fibonacci sequence, in a Michelangelo fresco or a Mozart sonata, in a wondrous animal or in a baby's innocent smile. The second prescription is principle 2, to love your neighbor. How? First, live outwardly toward the other, their special qualities, their aspirations, their sufferings, and even their flaws, and do not obsess over your own. Second, forgive always and first. Do not look for the bad, do not obsess over the hurts. Rarely do people hurt us intentionally. It is always from neglect. Almost always, they would be heartbroken to know the pain that they've caused you. Forgive them before they ask. Finally, this is the tough one. See Satan in all things in this world that attempts to disunite us. And there are too many to count these days. The differences that attempt to divide us are lies, perpetrated by the father of lies and cleverly disguised in truth and virtue to confuse us. See them for what they are and see him for the ravenous monster that he is. And when you love your neighbor through those differences, you stomp on the head, you stomp on his head, and you defeat him the way Jesus stomped the snake in the garden. Graduates, I implore you above all else, be fierce and fearless in your love of neighbor. It will take tremendous patience and courage. Embrace it. Perhaps it will help me to remind you of a line from a song that you might know. With Roman might and wisdom Greek, through Our Lady's help virtue seek. And Christ the Lord, source, summit, peak, for glory of the blue and gold. Graduates, congratulations. God love you and God bless you.